I lied about my identity and was invited to their wedding. I have been to a wedding. That part is fine. People go to weddings. What is not fine is that I was invited as a man named Marcus. Marcus lived in Barcelona. Marcus had a dog named Diesel. Marcus was a graphic designer who once did branding for a coffee company in Portugal. I am not Marcus. I have never been to Barcelona. I don't have a dog. And the closest I've ever gotten to graphic design is when I once made a birthday card in PowerPoint and felt really good about it. But I went to that wedding and I sat at the table reserved for Marcus. And I ate Marcus's chicken. Here's the thing about lying. Most people think a lie is a decision. Like you sit down and you go, okay, I'm gonna lie now. That's not how it works. A real lie, the kind that ruins your life in slow motion, starts as nothing. It starts as a pause, a half second where you could correct someone and you just don't. That's all it was. One pause. And somehow that pause turned into 3 months of me researching Barcelona neighborhoods so I didn't get caught. I'm going to tell you exactly how this happened, step by step. And I want you to be honest with yourself. Because at some point in this story, you're going to think, okay, I might have done the same thing. And that should concern you. It started at a party I almost didn't go to. My friend dragged me. He said it would be fun. It was not fun. It was one of those parties where everyone seems to already know each other, and the music is too loud to pretend you're having a conversation. So I was standing near the snacks, which is where I always end up. And this girl walks over. Her name was Lena. Lena was warm, easy to talk to, had this way of laughing like everything was slightly funnier than it needed to be. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, you're Marcus, right? Tom's friend? From Barcelona?" And I want to be very clear about what happened next. I had every opportunity to say no. My mouth opened. And what came out was, yeah, that's it. That's the whole decision. One syllable. But here's the thing. In the half second before I said it, my brain did a calculation. And the calculation was, Marcus sounds interesting. Marcus has a whole life. Marcus has a dog and lives in a city with good weather and does something creative for work. I, at that moment, was standing alone near the cheese with nowhere to be in the morning. So I became Marcus. And it felt fine because, and this is the part one really want you to understand, I fully believed I would never see her again. That belief was the most expensive mistake of my life. That was the lie. But the lie wasn't the mistake. The mistake was thinking it would stay in that room. It didn't. She asked for my number, which, I want to be clear, Marcus would also have a phone, so I gave it to her. 3 days later, she texted, "Hey Marcus, great meeting you. Want to grab coffee?" And here is where a normal person says, "Hey, actually, funny story." I did not say that. I said, "Sure, Saturday works." By this point, I had already Googled Barcelona neighborhoods to know. And what do graphic designers actually do? I found out there's an area called El Born that sounds cool. I memorized 3 street names. I learned what a brand identity package is. I bought a plant because at some point during the party, I had apparently told her that Marcus loves plants. I don't remember saying this, but I must have, because she asked about my plants on our second coffee. So now I had a plant I didn't want, an entire fabricated geography, and a growing understanding of Adobe Illustrator. And the worst part? I was enjoying it. Marcus was calmer than me. More interesting. He had opinions about typography. He cared about where his coffee beans came from. I started to actually like Marcus. For 3 months, I showed up as Marcus. We got coffee 4 times. We went to a gallery once. I told her about my apartment in the example district. I described the view. I had looked at the view on Google Street View for 45 minutes the night before. Everything was fine. Everything was absolutely fine. And then one Thursday afternoon, my phone buzzed. Not a text. A photo. A save-the-date card. With my name on it, Marcus's name. On a wedding invitation. Her sister was getting married. And Lena, sweet, warm, laugh-like, everything's funnier than it needs to be Lena, had put me on the guest list. Not just the guest list, the table plan. Table 4. Marcus +1. I stared at my phone for 11 minutes. Here is the situation I was now in. Lena had told her friends about me. There were photos of us, real photos, from the gallery, from coffee, circulating in a group chat I was not in. People were expecting Marcus. Then I did what any reasonable adult would do. I opened Google and typed, "How to fake your own death convincingly." I'm joking. I didn't do that. I typed it and then immediately deleted it and closed the tab. People had formed opinions about Marcus. One of her friends had apparently said, "Marcus sounds great." If I disappeared, I wasn't just ending a friendship, I was leaving behind a ghost. A whole person that 12 strangers believed in. And if I told the truth, 3 months later, at a wedding invitation, I wasn't just admitting a lie. I was admitting that I had let it go on. Past every reasonable exit point. Past the first coffee. Past the gallery. Past the moment she told me about her sister's engagement, and I had nodded and said, "That's so exciting," as Marcus. There was no clean way out, so I bought a gift off the registry. A salad bowl, 70 euros, very tasteful, and I went to the wedding. The venue was beautiful. I walked in, I found table 4, I sat down. A man I didn't recognize sat across from me. He had the look of someone who was also not entirely sure why he was there. Someone from Lena's family leaned over and said, "Oh, you must be Marcus. She talks about you." I said, "Yeah, that's me." The man across the table looked at me. I looked at him. There was a 4-second silence that felt like standing in an elevator that you realize is falling. And then he said, very quietly, "You're not Tom's friend from Barcelona either, are you?" It wasn't a question. My mouth went completely dry. "No," I said. "Yeah," he said. We looked at each other. Then he picked up his wine glass and said, "I'm from Rotterdam." I told her I was a photographer. And I started laughing. Not politely, actually laughing. But the kind that's 40% panic and 60% relief and 100% completely inappropriate for a wedding. His name was Joris. He had also been on that same party. He had also been mistaken for someone. He had also, for reasons neither of us fully understood, just kept going. We agreed, right there at table 4, that we would say nothing, that this would be our secret, that we would both attend this wedding as people we weren't, eat the food, dance a little, and never speak of it again. Lena doesn't know. She still thinks I'm Marcus. We text sometimes. She asked about my plant last month. The plant is doing really well, actually. It's called a monstera. I've learned a lot about it. I repotted it in March. Marcus would be proud. The thing is, I've thought about telling her many times. And every time I get close, I think about the salad bowl and the gallery and table 4 and Joris from Rotterdam, who also wasn't who he said he was. And I think, what would that conversation even fix? She has a friend she likes. I have a plant I've grown attached to. Somewhere in Barcelona there's a real Marcus who has no idea any of this happened. And Joris and I are still in touch. We went for coffee last month. He's not actually a photographer, but he's thinking about taking a class.